Content Catchup.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the season 2 finale. Finale, Sarah?
Finale,
Sarah. Season 2 finale of the Content Catchup. Michael Barker, it is again a pleasure to have you for the last time in season 2.
It sounds like a bit of a threat, but it's a pleasure to be here as always. How are you? How are you going? Talk to us.
Going well. I'm going to jump straight into my 3 good things for this week.
Yep.
And if you don't know what the 3 good things are, this is something raised by the Social Sandwich. Go and give him a follow on Insta and Twitter, just to make you stop talking about COVID, really.
And he does have a name.
Pretty much.
Edwin, shout him out.
Edwin.
It's not just a random talking sandwich
Edwin,
that we like to
dickhead.
bring up.
3 good things for this week. Fuck, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard with you. Went for a really nice walk today, and I know that sounds trivial, but it
endorphins.
is like endorphins, like bit of a different route, different way to go around. So that was fun.
Yeah.
I made some more cookies this week. I know I made some last week, but I made some more, and I dropped them off to a friend's house during the week, and that gave me some good serotonin as well.
What
S-bomb?
was the menu? What was you did choc chip last week for your dad?
It's still choc chip. I just had some extra choc chips laying over. Mix it up. Mate, when was the last time you baked it?
Well, I probably helped at least, but never would be the answer. Anyway, number 2.
That was number 2. And number 3, I watched the footy with some mates last night over Zoom.
Oh.
Not in person, don't worry. Watched the D's get up, but that was nice. Probably haven't spoken to my mates as much, but just to not have to do the awkward, like, oh, what are you doing? How are you doing? Just have the footy on and just watch it together as normal as you can. And yeah, they're my 3 good things from this week. What about you, Barks? What's happening?
Excellent. Well, I just want to touch on that. I think everybody can relate to being on those Zoom calls with mates, but it does get to a point where you're just like, what has everyone been up to? And then it reminds everyone that, wait, we're just stuck inside and we haven't done a single thing.
Yeah.
So it's good choice with the footy. My 3 things, I think I made a passing comment to you the other week of my frustration at puzzles. Well, I've come around.
Oh, God.
I've come around. I've enjoyed it. We nailed one. We finished one this week. And I think
what was it? Was it the circle one that you said?
It was the circle one. So, how do I explain it? A bunch of bloody bright colours, flowers, animals. Just, I don't know how to explain it. A forest sort of vibe.
Can you post a picture of the final product on our Insta maybe, so people have an idea of what you're talking about?
Okay. Sure thing, Julian. Puzzles.
Yeah.
What else? Buddy, what else has happened? I've gotten better with coffee making.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's very true.
With some expert guidance by my master coffee expert. But no, that's number 2. Number 3. Jeez, I don't know, Jules. I'm struggling with this one. You've taken footy.
What about your photography challenge?
Oh yeah, yep. So this week's theme was architecture. So just I guess it makes you look at things a little different.
Bit of architecture.
Bit of architecture. That's funny.
So
yeah, we went out this morning and took some photos of some bloody residential houses within 5Ks.
I hope you weren't taking photos of the people inside them.
No, it does get a bit like that though. Like when you're hovering around the front, you're just like, nobody else, they're home. They're not doing anything else. And you just look outside and there's a couple of people just staring down your house. So if you saw me this morning, it's a compliment.
He wasn't, he didn't have the super long lens out looking into your window at all. It was just for the outside of the house.
Absolutely.
I want to quickly touch on the funniest FaceTime call that you and I had last week after the show, where so Barks and I now have the same coffee machine, if you haven't picked up on that yet. Accidentally, but it's a brilliant coffee machine. Jeez, I wish we were sponsored by Breville. How good would that be?
Isn't it?
It's a Breville Barista Max.
Oh no.
No, it's some Breville. Sunbeam.
Sunbeam Barista Max, isn't it?
Barista Max, yeah, sorry. I wish we were sponsored by Sunbeam. Anyway, it's a brilliant coffee machine. Anyway, so
Breville
Barks
or the Sunbeam?
Right, both of them. Both of them are good. Barks is early on in his coffee journey, and got to appreciate he's come a long way in 2 weeks. But
Well,
he FaceTime
I came from
FaceTimed me
instant
last
coffee.
week.
I came from instant coffee last week, or the week before I bought the coffee machine.
That's true. He FaceTimed me last week. He put me up, and I was guiding him through. It was like the blind leading the blind, even though we had FaceTime going. Me just screaming out instructions on what he should do next, and him just being like, "I am tamping it hard.
Yeah.
I am." I'm like, "Mate, you're barely touching it harder."
We should have filmed it because you were getting aggressive with your tamping.
I was getting aggressive,
And-
but it worked out the better. And how long did you last this morning?
My coffee lasted a PB for me. 23, what was it? 0.58 seconds.
23.5 seconds. Well done.
No, but it's been interesting. And then the best part of that FaceTime was when it got to the milk, and you thought I was killing a cow because, well, you don't do milk, and I'll admit I struggle with it.
The milk is the hardest part, but when milk sounds like it's being absolutely fucking slaughtered, it sounds like a cat dying. And that's what it sounded like.
I appreciate the baristas out there that do it now because mine has sounded awful a number of times.
Yeah.
Anyway, Julian.
But anyway,
Mail?
We're not here to talk coffee.
We're talking mail. Open the mail.
We're talking mails?
No, just mailbag.
Mailbag. Okay. So this is a sort of mailbag episode. Number one, because you piss ants didn't actually write any questions in.
That's right.
But it's all right. We live and learn. But we do appreciate you voting on some of the questions that we put to you earlier this week in our Instagram story. So we're going to run through those and give you some thoughts. But
Yes.
we're going to kick this off with the first question. And it is, what is your dream job in sports?
Barks answer first. There you go.
Yeah, Barks answer first. That's from the run sheet. Well done.
This week.
Finally reading it. Only took 30 episodes.
Well, good question, us. Really well thought out, us. My dream job is probably pretty similar to this, but I will admit that I think, so video producer is my title right now, but I would love to be a bit of an all-round content producer. So it's probably, which you do, like I do a bit of, but I guess a bit more photography and a bit more all-rounded. But to be honest, like, as it's not naive isn't the right word, but like where I'm at now, this was once considered my dream job. So I think I'm pretty open with that, and I think if anything, it's doing a bit of everything rather than just video.
I think anyone who knows Barks would know how much he loves editing a video, so that's not a surprising answer. But I also see how much you push yourself to do other stuff. So you turning around and being like, I want to do animation or photography or anything like that is also not surprising. That's probably something I want to touch on a bit later. It's one of my predictions / trends for the upcoming year. But what is it about being an all-rounder that you think is most attractive?
Probably just not like doing the same thing. Like as you just said, like I don't think I can't imagine myself getting bored of editing videos, but at the same time you want to push yourself, and if you're doing the same thing season after season, as much as you can try to change things, it will get a bit stale. So I guess it's just that keeping in the back of my mind, I'm a video producer now, but what if photography was my main thing in like 3 years? Like just sort of, I guess challenging yourself is the easy answer to that. Sorry, go on.
No, you keep going.
No, that was
This
it.
is your
I think
answer.
challenging myself.
That's it. Challenging yourself,
you don't-
pushing yourself to try new things.
Yeah, you don't
right?
want to become stale, even if you enjoy it now. I guess at the back of my mind, I want to keep enjoying it, like in the future. So you got to find ways to do that. But that is my answer. What is your dream job in sports?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's a good answer.
I do like what I do now. I think we've spoken about this before, and I don't want to give everyone my bloody CV, but I'm less hands-on than I used to be at the moment. I'm more down the path of digital marketing than I am actually content producer. That being said, I do get a bit micromanagey and insert myself into content discussions a bit, but I think what I really enjoy about my job is the strategy side of things and thinking about like what bits of content are going to work and what kind of areas, and then also like the best way to promote them. So I do really like what I'm doing right now. My dream job would be when it eventually exists. is like a chief digital officer or something like that, and oversee just all the digital assets and digital opportunities that a sports club could have. And yeah, just taking everything to the next level. I think like sport media has come such a long way in such a short time that it's almost like as soon as it catches up to it where it should be, it's already like past. It keeps moving. Like you're never catching up. And whereas like a traditional job, like my favorite one to bring upon, accountants, like that the fucking accountants, that job in my like the progression has stayed the same as like for years and years and years. Whereas with sport content, digital content, I don't think it's got to the point. Yeah, I don't think it's finished evolving yet. So yeah, I just want to keep going along that trajectory and see where it kind of goes, really.
So when you plan out a lot more of the content than obviously I do, you mentioned being like hands-on. Do you miss, like, do you think in the future you'll want to go back to being hands-on and actually producing the content, or you think this is for you the more, as you said, the organizing and I guess strategizing it?
It's hard because it's hard to let go, and that's the hardest thing you can do, right? Like it's so hard to like when I started, like I was hands on writing the tweets and like scheduling everything and like making sure that the website was all up to date and stuff like that. And letting go of that and trusting other people to do it is the hardest thing to do, but it also frees you up so much to do other stuff that you're interested in and direct all your energy towards it.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying like being creative in other ways now, and this is one of the ways that I think I really enjoy being creative. And yeah, I don't foresee me wanting to go back into a hands-on. I want to have some control and some say, but I don't foresee me wanting to jump on the tools again and like and do stuff unless I have to.
I think it's an interesting one though, because like I reckon that's what I'd struggle with. Like we're all creative minds here, but if you're strategizing and planning certain ways you want to do stuff, I'd struggle. Yeah, I guess trusting that people do it the way you want to do it. Like if you've got these great thoughts and ideas and somebody doesn't execute it, you'd sort of think, maybe I should get back into it. Like I want to do that right.
But I guess that's like the other side of it. It's like you only have one way of doing stuff, and if you start trusting people around you to do things, right, you open yourself up to a whole new world of ideas and possibilities for content that you would never have thought about on your own.
That's true. That's a good point. More minds, multiple minds are more powerful than yours.
Yeah. I think it's just like about guiding people in the right direction. That's all it is.
Yeah, good answer. All right.
Thanks, mate.
That's all right. Next one, Julian, as voted by you, our beloved listeners. What do you think the next level sports content is in Australia?
I think we harp on about it so much in this show, but there's one particular sports brand that are just like miles ahead of the rest in everything they do, and I get that a lot of it's driven by on-field success, and that makes it a lot easier.
I know where you're going.
But there's no one that competes with the Melbourne Storm in terms of what they're producing on every single level.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if hopefully everyone by this chance has had a chance to look at the Purple Rain campaign that they're running as part of their final series. But
incredible.
Like,
I was scrolling their Twitter feed last night during their game, just admiring. I mean, it goes to their tweeting as well, but just the graphics, the whole idea behind it, the video they launched it with, they're when you say next level, the Melbourne Storm are next level.
I think like, and it's probably something we spoke about when we did speak to Brett Denton, who's someone who works there. They do such a good job of like not talking about rugby, but talking about rugby. Yeah. And like making Melburnians really get behind this team. I can't, like, their videos, their graphics, their interviews, the way that they highlight the players, their tweets, like there's nothing there that you would change. Their brand is arguably one of the strongest brands on social media.
Yeah.
Across any sport.
Yeah. Wholeheartedly agree. And I think it's a good call just to check their Twitter feed, how they tweet a game just from that.
Yeah.
Or if you don't know anything about NRL, which let's be honest are us, just go have a look at what they produce. It doesn't matter what you look at because you'll be impressed and sort of get what we're talking about.
Absolutely true. And shout out to everyone that works out. So there's Britt, who's in charge of their comms, I believe, or I can't remember her exact title. We'll get this wrong, but Britt, who's there, I think she does all the social media and tweets and does a bit of the articles on the website. Oran?
Yeah, I think Oran, who's their sort of, their digital manager.
Head of brand, I think.
Yeah. And then as we found out last night, I don't know if, is she a new, like one of their graphic designer who's helped with
one of their graphic designers.
Yeah, Michaela, I think her name is. And then, of course, Darcy, the video. Is that all of them? I don't know. We're probably going to miss some, but Darcy's the video.
I'm going to give a special shout out to one of my mates who has just made his way there, who's done nothing for them. He's like useless, but good old Frankie Holzer, who is he went from Essendon to Sydney Swans to Hawthorn and now has landed at the Storm and has done well for someone who is a part-time graphic designer, full-time actor. Let's just say that.
Is he actually?
But yeah, you can Google him, Frankie Holzer. Go watch his short films.
That's awesome.
But no, he's now landed there as their, I think, head graphic designer or head of creative or something like that. And with him there now, like, I can't wait to see how. I don't even know how their work could improve, but like, they're nuts. Storms are nuts. I
thought you were going to go down the track of insulting the poor Frankie when you said he's done well for somebody, and I thought you were going to list off a bunch of things that he's shit at or
shit.
He's done well for somebody.
He's very good. You'd like him, big Lakers man. The other one that I thought is really emerging, and I really love the space that they're playing in. I think it's Roland Sport on Twitter. Yeah. They do like a lot of GIFs and like meme kind of stuff. It's not groundbreaking. Let's face it, but we talked about it last week about like taking advantage of situations and being able to be reactive.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Make the most of it, and they do it so well. They don't do it in an insulting way. They don't do it in a like let's shit on someone. They do it in a haha let's all laugh at this together kind of way.
Yeah. Real like meme quality of entertainment.
Yeah, it's like a halfway. You know how I think it's Bleacher Report or House of Highlights. They do memes, but they also do like highlights. In Australia, I feel like we've got Highlights Club who does like the real stuff, like Real Vision that's sent in, and then you've got Roland Sport that's like they're just like chopping stuff up and, making memes, more funny stuff come out of it. I sounded like a real boomer then. Memes.
No, they're both different answers, but I like that. Shout out to the Roland Sport. I don't know if it's one person or a few, but very good. I reckon they're the type of page that you'll see blow up even more, sort of like Highlights Club-esque as you mentioned.
Yeah, and probably a shout out to Highlights Club as well. He's like crushing. Scott is crushing content there and really diversifying everything he's doing. So awesome stuff over there.
He's Scott Walton. He's I think he's going to take his stuff to a place I like where he's starting to produce it. He's bought his own camera. I've seen he's making it. He's putting himself in front of the camera. I think there's a real space for that. But that's could be one of the trends we're talking in the next bit of the show. But as for this one,
your turn.
My turn. So I'm going to take it in a different direction of personal branding. AFL world, Mitch Robinson. So he's basically, I think, a professional streamer is what you'd call him, because like I don't know how many followers he's got, but he basically does Twitch. He has his own podcast, and I think it's not really, I'm not going to talk about examples of what makes him next level, but I think what he's doing with his own personal brand is the answer to the next level of what content in Australia can be, because I love what he's doing with Twitch. I love what he's doing with podcasting, and I think he's the type of person that I can see pushing his personal brand beyond, like making his career after footy. So I think that's my answer to that question, because what he's doing now is great, but I could imagine him doing even bigger and better things in the future.
It's something that you've particularly brought up a lot over the last season, but athletes having their own presence on on social media and through their channels. And I think like you're so right. Mitch Robinson is really leading the way in Australian sport, at least from an AFL perspective. I think we saw a lot in the Olympics. Like we saw a lot more people come forward and start producing content, but Mitch does it consistently.
Yeah.
And he's got such a like charismatic
He does, doesn't he?
approach to it. Yeah.
Even
He's kind of like no bullshit, but like in a nice way.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have that persona actually. I think it's also just incredibly smart. Like if you've got an interest in these things and you're not taking advantage of the online, I guess, media world of gaming, whatever it might be, it's sort of just like why the hell not? Like you're only in this position for what, maximum 10 years or something. Use it now and reap the benefits after it.
Make the most of it. And you're right, like no one's going to care about Mitch Robinson if he doesn't do this stuff. Like no offense to him, that's not a knock on him, but like how many athletes are out there that are like just disappear into a void because they don't make any effort, and then they're like, oh fuck, I've finished footy, no one cares about me anymore, I'm not relevant, what am I going to do? At least this way he's doing something.
It's true. It's just the realism of it.
Cool. All right. Well, we're on to question 3, and we touched on this, didn't we?
We did
touched on this a little bit in that last answer, but as voted by you, our lovely fans, what are some what?
It's not open there. You all right? You want to talk about it?
I think I'm going through puberty halfway through the show.
That's right.
What are some of the trends for sports and sports content in 2022? Mike?
Big question, broad question. So I had a bit of think about this. This is probably a bit of a broad answer, but I think we're going to see everything stripped back in 22. I think you could start with graphic design. I think graphic design is one example, layouts, whatever it might be, wallpapers. I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like the clutter of it all has been tried. So I think what makes really good designs, it's almost like the more clutter, the better in some aspects. Like all the textures, all the whatever you want to throw at multiple people in one picture. I think people are really enjoying and appreciating the simple, the better. So it's not going to be as much going on, but it's going to be more brought back to the idea. And I think the less clutter doesn't just go to graphic design, but it goes to a bit to the angle of less produced. So I think less is more. That's one thing.
Can I jump in there quickly?
Of course.
I think that's a very good point, number one. And I think we're starting to see a bit of an example of that. I think Edwin tweeted something the other day from the Manly Sea Eagles, which was their game day graphic.
We got to stop giving him kudos,
mate.
He's doing fantastic. So let's be serious. No, he's doing superb things, and that's enough. So we won't go on about that. But go on.
But he did tweet an example of the Manly Sea Eagles game day graphic. And while I'll stand here and say I will die on this hill, but and say the Storm's graphics are the best, but the simplicity of the Manly Sea Eagles graphic, which was just like a picture of a player's head and the game details down the bottom. Yeah. My God, it was refreshing to see.
Yeah. And that's probably the good word for it, refreshing, because I think that's what I was trying to say before. We've seen enough is going on. Too much has been going on in some of our designs.
The Lakers have also kind of really stripped it back with theirs. I think they're quite simple down that like really minimalistic movie poster kind of feel.
Exactly.
Rather than anything too crazy.
Even something like filters. I think we've gone through the phase of teams and people trying too much going on with your photos. I reckon I think we'll see it stripped back a lot. Second answer to this bit, our attention span. We talked about this. You're sick of documentaries. I feel like they're going to fade out a little. I feel like it's going to go to the next level of everybody's attention span is shit. So you're going to see Reels, TikToks, that sort of stuff really take over like what used to be like full-blown like opposition reports, like previewing matches, previewing player matchups. I feel like you're going to get that in like 5 to 10 seconds somehow. Like people will just start producing that kind of stuff.
I think that is such a good call as well.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree with this more, man. Like I'm so sick of and this is hard because there is a time and a place for it, but I hate really long interviews. And that's just from someone who can't sit down and really stomach them.
But you're not the only one. That's the thing.
But there's also on the other side, like this podcast goes for 40 minutes half the time, and there are people that sit down and listen to them. So
thank you again.
Thank you. God. I think it's got its place, but I do think there should be more of a focus on like that bite-sized bit of information, bit of content that really captures your attention.
Yeah.
And either directs you to a longer bit of content, or like that's it. It's just one 15-second thing and we're done.
Exactly. Edwin again, he said 1 second is our new attention span, right?
Oh, fuck off, Edwin. Honestly.
It's like we've rehearsed this. Trends for you, Julian. Big Julian.
Trends for me. I think the number one thing we're going to see the end of, and this comes from a bit of a place of pain because I love the 90s style content. I love it.
Oh, no.
But it's done.
It's done?
Mate, how many more VHS overlays are we going to need to see?
Yeah,
I know
true.
you love it.
I actually
Like,
don't love
glitches,
it that much. It's been overdone. You're right.
It's done. Glitches, VHS, 90s style graphics, it's done. If we keep seeing these in the next year, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we're just going back to the well for the same shit. And it's easy to go back to because, you know, it works, but I think it's now time for the next thing. And the next thing might very well just be moving to early 2000s style. Like, you know, I mean, that's a simple progression, right? We've done 80s. I feel like we did big 80s vibes a couple of years ago when Miami did the big like pink Vice kind of jumpers, and then we moved to 90s, and now 2000s.
It's hard though, because I think a lot of people agree with me when I say I'll never get sick of throwback in a certain way. Like you use sport Guernseys or jerseys. Who's gonna get sick of that? But you're right though. Where could it go? Could it go futuristic? Do you get weird?
Yeah, that's a thing. I think like it's now not trying to squeeze everything into that 90s mold, but rather look for content that if it fits within that space, that's where it lies, but not making everything like 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
think that's... Sorry?
No, I was going to say controversially, couldn't you say our beloved Melbourne Storm graphics were 90s last night?
Correct. But we're still in 2021, so we're talking about 2022.
True. Thank you for clarifying.
I'm saying that, like, and like I said, right. I love the 90s stuff. I really do, but I just think it's run its race. Like, I think it's done.
Yep.
I think it's enough.
I agree.
I think when it became enough, and you said it last week, was when Manchester United were using the same VHS overlay that you can download on YouTube. Like,
that's
it's kind of
sort of what it's become like in video editing. Like, you sort of like, oh, how can I make this a bit grungy, appeal to whoever you're trying to appeal it. Oh, let's Google some glitch overlay, some rewind, fast forward, VHS action.
Yeah, I think it's been done. It was like the lens flare from years ago.
Yeah.
Except Hawthorne still haven't got rid of theirs.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, these trends are funny. So we'll see what lasts, what doesn't next year.
We'll see what lasts. The second one, I think it's another one that we've touched on, but it's a shift from play-by-play coverage, shift away from play-by-play coverage over social media and a shift to moment coverage.
Love it. I love it.
And
I think
that's self-explanatory. It's the way it should be.
I think so. You can go back to Melbourne Storm once again if we really wanted to, because as we said, they tweet better than anyone I've seen play-by-play wise, because it's not exactly play-by-play.
No.
But like we've touched on, halftime graphics, what's the point? Things like that.
Fuck them off.
Fuck them off.
Don't want to see them. I get like full-time. I can kind of understand that. But what I love, there's a few teams that do this in America already. Like the Red Sox are one, and I'm pretty sure the Celtics also do it. There'd be a number of them, but they only post full-time graphics if they win. If they lose, it just goes up in the story and it disappears.
I think there's something in there. It's like Miami Heat doing the old memes if they win, nothing if they lose.
Exactly. Like, who actually needs a losing graphic? Like, why are we doing that to ourselves?
It's a point we keep going back to over multiple episodes, because it's like you can't shy away from telling teams if they win telling fans if you won or lost, but then think about it from the other opinion of, well, everybody knows. Like, there's other outlets. I mean, other
Exactly.
brands or companies to tell us. We know the score if we look in our ESPN app or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like in terms of, well, this is my opinion anyway, in terms of like live tweeting of a game or live coverage of a game, it should be a conversation, not a da-da-da-da, score, time, done.
Yep. And what you've got access to or what you can provide that nobody else can provide. And that's sometimes a tricky question during a game because everybody's watching the same game. But I think that's a good way to think of it.
Yep. And then my last one is something that we touched upon again earlier today. It's like you've read my run sheet, guys. But
crazy shit happening.
Crazy shit. It's something you said in terms of your dream job, but I think like the traditional social producer will start to phase out. And I think like, yeah, it'll become, you're already starting to say, like you said, the Melbourne United job where it's a multimedia producer. I think that's going to become the new norm. I don't think people are going to look for people that can just write tweets or
one
or
task.
whatever it might be, one task. Yeah, they're going to look for an all-rounder.
Which makes it harder as well in a way for people trying to get in the industry. But it's tough though because I still believe if you're an amazing photographer in by itself, that is still a way to get an opportunity. But it's hard though because I agree with what you're saying.
I still think there's space, like if you are an amazing photographer or you are an amazing writer, but it's also like the realization that that's not all there is. Like, no, you need to, if you're an amazing photographer, sweet. You've also got a camera that can record video. Do you know how to at least take a basic video and cut it up? Sweet. You can write articles. Do you know how to match these articles with great moments in videos or like cut up that video so it feeds into your article well? No one's asking you to go out and be next like you. Like, they're asking.
Let's settle down.
All right. Let's simmer a bit.
But like speaking of me, it probably goes back to my point of I want to do more than just video, and maybe part of that is my head going, you've got to be useful in 5 years' time. Like you've got to be able to do a bit of everything as well as you do what you've complimented on video. Like you've got to be able to do everything as well as you do video.
Yeah. Is it what's the saying? Jack of all trades. It's dickhead actually.
Jack of all what trades?
Hold on, I'm gonna read the full quotes. It's the jack of all trades, but a master of none. Though often sometimes. Oh, sorry. Let me say again. A jack of all trades, a master of none. Though oftentimes better than master of one. So like, you can be good at so many things, and that's better than being good at one.
Yeah. Holds truth, isn't it?
Holds truth. Right. All right. That's it for that.
Question 4. This is an interesting one. What can you do to get better if you're already in the industry? Julian.
Yeah. I think similar to what we're saying, just don't say no to anything. Yeah. Like look for new opportunities. If you're already working in the industry, you're exposed to so many different areas of a business that you wouldn't get exposed to in pretty much any other industry. Like if you are just working in the content space, let's say you're a writer, you can go sit with the video team, you can sit with the graphic designers, you can understand what they're doing, ask them for tips, tricks, whatever it might be, and learn. You have access to the technology, you have access to the equipment, and no one ever stops you from going out after work and saying, hey, can I use this camera to go doing this? Or can I jump on Photoshop and try this? Like, the world is really like, it opens up. And then like from a other perspective of the business, like you can go and sit with the commercial team and learn how sponsorship works or what they do with your content after you create it and how it's valued and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've taken out of learning in sport is just don't say no to anything and always ask. Yeah, look outside your kind of comfort zone and just even ask to sit in on meetings or like when a decision gets made, don't be afraid to ask, but in a respectful way, like why is that happening or why are we doing it like this? Yeah. Because you learn so much.
I agree. I think asking questions is a massive one. That I think, and what massive one for me as well, because I think there have been a few instances over my time where I've noticed you can sort of tell where people you can tell when someone doesn't know something but pretends like they do, and there's nothing wrong with people say there's no stupid questions, but I absolutely agree with that. Like, there is no stupid questions, and even if you ask one that you think is, well, chances are you'll learn something from it anyway. So
chances are someone's always thinking the same stupid question as you are anyway.
It shows you're interested anyway, at the very least. My answer to this is a bit different. I was thinking about it, and I think one answer to this, I should say, is to look for what people aren't doing. So, like, if there's certain bits that you see for people's roles or jobs that they're not doing, or maybe nobody's sticking their hands up to do, I feel like try to stand out. Like, do that, see why nobody wants to do it, and then maybe you can change it. Like, just look for those opportunities of what people aren't doing and do it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's a great answer.
That's two of them today.
You're just fucking nailing it today. You're on.
I rehearsed for this for weeks.
You rehearsed. Is that why you said that you're ready to go at 2 o'clock rather than 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
You had all the answers in your head.
You know, like when you're studying for an exam. I don't know. I will say it helps when you write your own questions, doesn't it?
That's a good looking for what's missing as well. That always provides an opportunity.
Yeah.
Not to gloat, and this is from personal experience, but when I came to Carlton, they weren't doing a lot of digital marketing, and I had a digital marketing background, so like I just started doing it, and I'm very lucky that like the people around me let me do it, but it's now a space that has helped my professional development, and now has opened up my eyes to like what else can I be doing that is not yet being done.
Perfect example. See what what they're not doing, do it, and you'll learn and improve your company or team. Because I think there is something in not trying to it's almost like you're not trying to outdo what you're already doing, because you can trust that you've got people in the right positions that are making amazing videos or producing amazing whatever it might be, but do excel in what you're not doing. Cool.
And
motivational.
I've got one last one, and it's going to be a quick one, but don't burn bridges.
Yep.
If you're already working in the sports industry and you might hate your boss, you might hate everyone you work with, don't burn that bridge, because this is like an incestuous industry, and there's one day you're going to be working with them again.
That's true. That's a hard one though, because the chances are you're going to have to sort of stick up for yourself during your career of what is right and wrong, but it's a good point.
Yeah, fuck you, Strange.
We didn't mention him for one episode.
There he is. Cool. So now this is an interesting one. This is a little bit silly, Michael, isn't it?
a bit cheeky silly, for a final episode.
What do you think each other's midlife crisis would be?
Yeah, I've got one for you. I think...
Oh, here we go.
It's nothing too stupid. I think you'd reach a point in your life where you want to create or invent something and start like a business from it. So I can imagine you, even like at its simplest form, a quirky little coffee. You want to create a coffee shop, one of the hole in the walls ones, and you just want to make it different somehow. But it would be some sort of real niche. Like you'd only make flat whites with 2 sugars. You'd only do something really niche. I don't have an answer for what it quite might be, but I think there's a come time in your life where you want to start a niche business is my answer.
You know, interestingly enough, my dream after I'm done with sports is to start a coffee shop.
Is that come back to your time in Boston? That like because you already work there.
It does. I love making coffee. Number one, but it's start a coffee shop that also has
cats,
a bike mechanic inbuilt, so you can drop off your bike, get it done, and like have a coffee, and a record shop out there. It's my 3 like hipster stupid things that I do.
It's a real targeted approach, isn't it? Like I'm just imagining like sweaty cyclists in Lycra holding their cats and records.
That's my dream though, so you're not far off.
Nice.
Interestingly, I didn't go down a silly path.
I don't know why you keep saying silly like you've just upped the D in the dictionary. And I mean, S.
I've got...
Never mind, go on.
I think there's going to be a point where you and Darren actually take Brotherhood Studios and make it an actual legitimate
go back to
sports agency. And I think that is probably not that far off. But I think that's going to be your midlife crisis, if we call it that. I think your real crisis, though, will be like adopting 3 more dogs and moving out to like fucking Kyneton or something with an alpaca.
Oh, we used to live next door to alpacas. I think one spat on us once. It's an interesting answer, though, because I don't know about that, because I feel like we experienced like when we first started Brotherhood Studios, you had to make it an actual business. So we experienced that first thing of tax, earning money by yourself, whatever, and we sort of thought, when we both landed full-time gigs, we're like, this is great. I'm not sure but that's what a midlife crisis is. Maybe it's in phases. Maybe we tried it.
Maybe, yeah, that's right. Maybe come back to it.
Interesting. And would we call it Brotherhood Studios or would rebrand?
I think you'd call it Brotherhood Studios and you'd exclusively only hire twin brothers who are all video producers.
Just like this
identical twins.
You walk in, it's just like these... You imagine everyone's identical.
Wall to wall identical twins.
Misfits. Interesting. But we'll move on. We could talk about that. We could talk about that for a while, actually. But next one. So this is actually from... this is a real question. This is from...
A real question,
This is from Loz. So shout out, Loz. Why did you start a pod about work? Were you interested in the community?
I feel like we've spoken about this before, but I think it's changed. I think like we started this after we got back from the hub, in 2020. And I think both of us were looking for something to do, and we both recognized that like content producers within sport in Australia don't really have a space or like a zone or like anywhere where their work can be really appreciated or spoken about or get the chance to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So it was a bit about the community. It was a bit about like trying to overcome that tall poppy syndrome that kind of really exists in our world, really, like in Australia in particular. And I think selfishly, it was also a great opportunity to meet some new people and break down the barriers that exist between content producers and like a little bit of the ego there. Because I know, like, personally in the past, I've never been able to like really appreciate the work that another sports team is doing that easily. Like, a part of me is always a bit bitter that it's not us. Yeah. But now that like I know so many more people, and part of it's because of this show, which has been great. Like, met so many new people and been able to connect with them, that I don't feel that anymore. When I see good work, I'm like, fuck, that's great. Like, and I'm so happy that they're producing good work. So, I guess it was just about the community for in a long and short answer.
No, I think that's it. Well, firstly, community is a good word to sort of answer it to, but I think your answer is spot on. I agree 100%. I think there's multiple reasons. So just to back what you said, it's creating a space for people to talk about what we do, because it's bloody cool what we do. And I think personally, I felt that because to get in a position like this was always a really cool job. And then when I got there, it's just like we both agreed that there wasn't really a space for people to talk about it. And probably another one was basically just I'm sure you agree with this, just to keep pushing our skills. Like by doing this, it sort of gave me confidence that I'm going to be up to date with what's happening. We're going to learn a shitload from not only people in Australia, but like overseas, internationally, which we haven't done as much in, but creating that community in Australia, and who knows who we might talk to in the future. So I agree. I think that answers your question, Loz. And I guess to the work element part of it, we're lucky that it is work, but it isn't. Like, we're interested in it regardless of if we're working in it.
I think on that, like, when we started doing this, we definitely put a lot more. We've perhaps structured in a way that it did feel like work. And I think what we've learned over the last season is that this was supposed to be fun for us, and it wasn't supposed to be, oh, we have to post, we have to have this up.
Exactly.
And while we are trying to grow like our brand and whatnot and our community, I feel like we're doing it slowly now, and we're enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah. That's an important lesson as well. Like, if you're going to start these side things, don't feel obligated to post and do stuff, because why are you even doing it if you do feel that pressure? Like, it's an outlet is a good word for it. So I think if you're in this fast-paced environment, whatever job you're in, if you're starting these side things, it's probably as a bit of an outlet. So don't turn it into your actual work.
Yeah. Unless you want it to be your actual work. Like,
well,
if
true.
we wanted this to if we wanted this to be the only thing we did, we'd have to put a fuckload more work into it.
True. Very fair
right
point.
Now, yeah. Yeah. But thanks for the question, Loz.
Yeah, appreciate that.
All right, Barks. That's all the questions that we actually got votes on. So thank you everyone for voting. But I thought you proposed a pretty interesting question that I want to touch on, because I think it's important, especially right now, while we're all still stuck at home. How are you still staying creative or motivated during this period?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Got outvoted on our IG poll, didn't it?
Yeah,
maybe,
it did.
Maybe you people should care about individuals at home. No, there's probably two things. Like, so one is my routine of being around screens. I think I've tried. I probably haven't done a great job of it, but put a more focus of, you have to get outside daily. You have to go for a walk, get away from your screen. I found that's when your ideas start to flow. And even if you do it and you don't get your ideas or what you want to do next, whether it be work or your podcast or whatever it might be, I found it like coincidentally, I feel like ideas do come to you later that day if you have had more time outside, or that probably sounds real, like what people try to push for sunlight and everything. But, and then the second one is just like, I don't know, like I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Like, if you're creative, it's hard to be creative if you're stuck in the same four walls. So like for me, I realized how much I miss just using my camera and just pressing the button of taking a photo, like filming. So I'm like, what can I do? Did that photography comp that we're doing now, but it just sort of like, for me, it was, I only ever enjoyed taking photos and doing stuff with sport. But now if you create something, see what other people are going through. There's a lot of people at home bored. Create something like this photography competition that has helped me look at how, like, architecture is this next theme. It's helped me look at houses and, I don't know, like different things that I wouldn't normally look at. And I honestly think that will help me when we go back to work with what I'm producing, because you're looking at for different things. You're looking for different lighting that you might not typically see at Icon Park. Like, I just think challenging yourself in any way you can, because... Are you in trouble there, Jules? I hear that siren.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to try and hit mute, but I couldn't find it quick enough. Sorry about that.
Challenging yourself and understand that there's probably people at home in the same situation. So I don't know if that answers you, but I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what I found for me personally has helped.
Mate, there's no correct answer to that question. It's your experience.
Subjective.
It's your experience. But the getting outside and walking, I did a course once, which was all like the Don Drapers of the world, the big advertising executives, the creative minds of the world. And the one thing that they all said, they all had these like quirky ways that they got creative and whatever and found inspiration. But the one thing that they all had in common was taking themselves out of the situation of work and going for a walk, going to the movies, or like just breaking that barrier that they had, the rut of the space that they were in.
Yeah.
So I think like going for a walk is, it sounds so stupid, but for whatever you're going through, like it's one of the best things you can do to clear your mind.
Yeah.
I think, sorry.
No, I was going to say, it's also one of those answers that everybody gives, and so it's sort of just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like everybody says that, but everybody says it for a reason.
Exactly. I've probably struggled a lot. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, do you have, I know you directed that at me, but do you have any things you've done or any tips you've been able to suggest to the listeners?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've struggled a bit. Like, I haven't been that motivated the last couple of weeks, and that's natural as well. Like, I don't think you need to feel bad about not being motivated, especially if you work in this industry or work in any industry, really. Like, you have your natural ups and downs, and there's always going to be a time where you're like, fuck this. Like, the last thing I want to do today is make a video or take photos or edit this graphic.
Or
I'm just gonna
talk
get
to
it
people.
done. Or talk to exactly. Funnily enough, we have a podcast. But I think like one thing for me is just being able to recognize when I'm not feeling motivated and not trying to push myself to be motivated, if that makes sense. Like if I have a day where I don't get I have like 10 tasks and only 3 of them are actually urgent and I can push the rest to another day, I'll just do the 3 and then do something that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it might just be sitting on TikTok for an hour or like an hour and a half. It's like you just need something. Aside from that, I like drawing. Like I do enjoy it, and I've been battling with a t-shirt design that you'll hopefully all see in the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited.
I'm getting closer.
Yeah.
But I often find like when I've got a set task like that and I can't get myself to sit down and do it, I'll do something else, which is drawing, but not what I'm supposed to be working on, to at least let myself feel good about what I'm about to do. So recently I've just been downloading like they're called tattoo flash sheets, which are just like sheets of different drawings. I put them into Procreate and I just trace them. And it just like, it gives you that hit in your brain where you're like, oh, this is like turning out really good. You're not doing anything like spectacular or anything like that, but it's like, just makes you feel good. And sometimes that's what you need to remotivate yourself. You need to find something that's like, hey, this is giving me a bit of hit of dopamine or serotonin or whatever you want to call it, and it's making me feel good. I'm going to channel this into what I need to do now.
I think that's a really, really good answer, and it's quite a funny one because I do the exact same thing. And I think it's funny you say that because I remember, I think I was talking to you actually, and one day in Photoshop I put this old school NBA photo into Photoshop and found this brush that turned it into it's like a water pastel drawing.
Yeah.
So like sometimes if I'm doing something where I'm not quite into it or I'm losing motivation, I just literally open Photoshop. I didn't even leave the desk, and you just start mindlessly like painting over this old school NBA photo, and then you start to feel like, well, it looks pretty cool. Oh, I'm going to make the video now because I feel better about myself.
Exactly. And that's all you need sometimes. You don't need to hear it from anyone else. You don't need to hear from someone, because you know that in the back of your head. You know, like going for a walk, you know that like doing something that makes you feel good, or, you know, like turning off your screen for half an hour is going to work. Yeah. But you need to come to that conclusion yourself.
It's like tricking yourself almost. Just tricking yourself into getting back into it.
Mate, it's all fucking psychology when you think about it.
Humans are bloody weird. We're all weird.
Fucking stupid people.
All right, stupid people. All right. Let's wrap the season up. What a joy it's been.
Fuck.
Another season
am I doing
down.
the outro as well?
Yeah, you can do it.
Jesus. I mean, here we go.
I will add in that.
Okay.
Mine would have been better, but you go for it.
All right. Well, that's a wrap on season 2. Really, we can't thank you enough for tuning in. 30 episodes is a lot of commitment. Even if you've listened to 2 episodes, even if you listen to 1, even if you listen to 30 seconds of 1, it all means a lot to us. So thank you so much for giving us your time every week, following us on social, engaging with our posts. It does mean a lot to us. So thank you for another wonderful season. To all our guests,
yes,
you didn't have to be on this show and you gave us the time. So particular shout outs to a couple of our international guests, Camille and Nick. I think that's our 2 international guests.
I hope so. Otherwise it's a bit rude.
Nick might have actually been season 1.
Anyway, let's not get stuck in the minor details.
But mate, we've had such a good time meeting all of you, like, and finding out about more of the content you've done. Barks, I'm sure you'd say the same.
Yeah. I think the joy of it is the little the community we've unintentionally built. Like even Melbourne Storm again, the Michaela, we haven't come across her or her work before, but she quoted the tweet of saying something like being shouted at by the content catch-up boys. I've made it or something like that's just a throwaway playful comment, but that's the sort of thing that you just like we do. We appreciate everyone every single person that listens and the guests that give up their time. So I agree.
And everyone that sends us content or does even like answer with stupid questions like Daniel Geese, do we love banana bread?
I do like banana bread.
We love banana bread. Adrian Manidi, no, you can't come on the pod. We do read everything that comes through and we do check out every bit of content. Bucks, what are some things that people can expect in this gap and in season 3?
So in the gap so we're not sure. Well, unless you've got an idea of when we'll return for season 3, but we'll have our break. In the meantime, though, we're going to dabble in the world of probably just a bit more content directed to YouTube only. So it's not going to be scheduled, it's not going to be planned, but I think an area we'd like to get into is if we see something, have those moments of inspiration, hop on, share our screen, or make the video ourselves. It doesn't have to include. It won't include both of us. It's just going to be one of us at a time, talking about what the hell we see, or something that we purely want to watch and get our reaction. So that's a very loose description of it, but it's going to be a bit different. It's not going to be episode by episode, and we'll see how that goes. So basically, YouTube-specific content, we'll post it to the socials, sure, but it'll cover a bit more relevant and could be more frequent topics.
Yeah. That's just because we always have shitloads of content that we don't get to talk about, and we think
we don't want to keep saving and
we don't want to keep saving and move out. Yeah. One thing that I've been working on in the background, I've mentioned it to you, Bucks, but we're going to start it, or I'm going to start doing it, is just a little bit of a newsletter where we can share some of those links. We obviously have the spreadsheet that we're populating, but maybe once a month or once every couple of weeks, I'll put together a little newsletter with just some links of some things that we've been watching, things that have been good, things that we like, and a little note from us. So you'll find the link for that to sign up in our bio. So give that a click. It's not going to be anything fancy. I hate newsletters that are spammy and shit like that. So it's just going to be a couple of links, a little bit of an explanation. So if you're interested, sign up. If you're not, well, yeah, that's your choice, isn't it? You're a stuffer. Hate you.
The biggest thing though, we will dabble in the universe of merch. I'm putting you on notice again, Jules. I know you're a busy man, and it's gonna be worth the wait. But I do want to see if we can develop a bit of merch. It's not going to be massive content catch-up logo on a big ass hoodie. It's going to be something a bit more in the sports. The culture of sports. Is that a good way to describe pop culture? Yeah.
I'm working on a piece right now that I think everyone will enjoy. But watch this space. We're also going to do it. We'll do a run of like content catch-up mugs and stickers if that's what people want as well.
Let us know. Let us know as well if you do have a preference. If you do think a mug would be better, or you would go out of your way to purchase a $300 t-shirt, then just let us know.
But again, all those links, once we lock in a design, which we're not far off, we'll let you know. We'll post it up at our story. Give us a vote, and then we'll take some orders. It's not going to be for us to make a shitload of cash on. It's just going to be a little bit of fun for us.
I think it's always been something that I've been curious about, to be honest, like seeing what the merch world is. And it's not, as you said, we're not going to pump out like 300 t-shirts. It might be more of like a limited edition. Only 10 exist. I don't know. We'll NFT it.
NFTs. We're not doing NFTs. Or are we?
I don't know.
Anyway, this is now officially the longest outro in the history of the content catch-up. But everyone, again, thank you. Bucks, thank you.
Thank you, Julian. You've been great to work with, and we'll see if we'll return. It's like when radio hosts sign off their final year, and it's that awkward sort of, are they going to return? Is their show renewed?
No, we'll be back for season 3.
We don't know when,
Got too much content.
We don't know when? No, we won't put a time on it.
No, we won't put a time on it, but I'd say we'd probably have at least a summer series.
Yeah.
At least 1 or 2 episodes.
For those wondering why we're having a break, it's probably just something we didn't really plan, but we got to 30 episodes for this season. We're like, we always planned. We didn't want to go the whole year. And it's sort of one of those things of where do you break it up? But now's a good time. Have a few weeks, month, whatever it is. Refresh and get back to you because, yeah, I don't know where that sentence is going.
No, that's true. Talking about motivation, we only want to do this if it's fun, and we've done 30 episodes.
We fucking hate it. We're
We're
hating this shit now.
All right. That's a wrap.
does it.
See you later. See you for season 3.
Thank you, everyone, and goodbye. Keep well. Keep well? Maybe just stay
Be well. Be good.
Be good.
Be better.
All right, bye.
Bye.